The perfect hamburger, ages 16 to 20. Do you remember Mr. Borthwick's invited Joe into the kitchen and said he can make his own hamburger? Right, he said, now I'll show you how to make a hamburger. Joe was fascinated. Mr. Borthwick told him what to do and pointed out where things were kept. Then he let him get on with it. Joe mixed the meat with a few chopped onions. Then he put the hamburger on the cooker and watched it sizzle. Mr. Borthwick got out the 2 halves of roll and put these on a plate ready for the burger. Joe was quite surprised when he found out that what he had made tasted like a hamburger at all. "I've done it!" he exclaimed. "I've made a real hamburger!" Mr. Borthwick beamed with pleasure. "Well done," he said, "and now you've finished, you can make one for me." Joe went down to Mr. Borthwick's 2 or 3 times a week and was always allowed to make his own hamburger. There were hardly any customers. A few people passing through town was the most that they could hope for. Then, one evening, just after he had made a hamburger for himself and one for Mr. Borthwick, the old man suddenly whispered, "Look, we've got a customer." Joe peered out of a corner of the service hatch and saw a man getting out of his car and coming up to the front door. He was a fat man dressed in a white suit and he was carrying a small briefcase with him. Joe thought that he had seen him before, but he could not remember where. Mr. Borthwick went to the counter to serve him, but the man said that he did not want anything to eat. "I've come to talk business," he said. Joe strained his ears to hear what was being said, but the man spoke too quietly. Now he remembered where he had seen this man before. He was the manager of Hamburger House, and Joe had seen his photograph in the papers after the opening ceremony. Joe heard the door being closed, and then Mr. Borthwick came back into the kitchen and sat down. "Well, well," he said, wiping his brow, "what a nerve!" Joe pretended that he had not been listening to the conversation, so that Mr. Borthwick would tell him all about it. "They want me to sell out to them," the old man said. "They want to pension me off. And they want to do all this just so that they can get their hands on this place, make it all smart and start charging fancy prices." "And do you think you'll ever sell?" Joe asked. Mr. Borthwick snorted angrily. "To that bunch? Never!"